And we are back with some more Arizona Coyotes franchise mode in FHM 10. And in the last one, we had one heck of a struggle here. As we're currently 23, 21, and 5. We have struggled to stay consistent throughout the entire year so far. We have not gotten anything going. We are only at 51 points. We're currently 9 points behind the Nashville Predators, who are in third. And as we get closer to the trade deadline of year number 5, we're going to have to figure something out here, because with the amount of expiring contracts that we have this year of players like Fedorov and Stenberg and Michkov, there is just no way that we're going to be able to afford Clayton Keller going into next season. So like I said in the last one, I believe the time has come to at the very least see what Clayton Keller could fetch. Oh boy, not much, I'm afraid. Most of the players that we're getting offered are AHL level talent and then a 7th round pick to go along with every offer we've got here. Josh Norris, who is 2.5 star ability, I would say is probably the best player on the table. But even he's got a bad contract, 7.4 for the next 3 years. Absolutely not. And then the players who don't have bad contracts are not very good themselves. So yeah, we're not getting much back from Clayton Keller, I'm afraid. Oh, wait a minute. All right, I changed the player requirements to only picks, and Colorado is apparently willing to give up a first. And so is Toronto. Okay, that changes things. That changes things. I don't know why they didn't just start with that. Yeah, this game could be a little strange sometimes. I mean, you know what? Honestly, I might just take one of these offers here and now. Like for Keller at this point in his career, yeah, it'd be worth it to take one of these offers for Keller. Yeah, let's see what these teams are looking like here. Toronto is 23, 21, and 7. And then Colorado is 22, 19, and 5. So both in a situation that does not exactly favor them. However, it's worth noting that right now Toronto is second in the Atlantic with that record, and Colorado is currently below us in the Central Division, and we know that the Central Division is much stronger. So I think we stand to benefit from sending Keller to Colorado here, assuming he doesn't help them out that much. That pick may very well end up being pretty good. So I think I will take this offer from the Colorado Avalanche. So Clayton Keller to the Colorado Avalanche in exchange for a 1st round pick. Thank you for your services, Clayton Keller, but it is time to move on. There it is. We have made the deal. It is done. Clayton Keller has officially been moved. After all the rumors that have surrounded his name over the years, it's finally done, and wish the best of luck to him. And maybe he can get a cup over there in Colorado. I mean, I doubt it with how they've been trending lately, but you know, I guess you never know. Maybe he'll get flipped somewhere else by the trade deadline. But you know what? Hey, Colorado was the one who offered the 1st round pick, and who am I to say no? So with that out of the way, we now have 71.8 in salary cap. We have plenty of cap space to work with now. But just given the fact that we just moved our captain, I think we should allow the dust to settle here. We should just let everything play out for a little bit. You know, not only is this a new coach that we're operating under this year, we just moved our captain. We've gone through many other changes over the past couple of years. So I think for right now, I mean, obviously we're gonna have to set a captain here, but besides that, I think we're done with changes, at least until the trade deadline, because I would like to see how this team is capable of gelling without Clayton Keller. So let's see who is the best leader on the team currently. At least as far as ratings go, the leadership rating, it's Hamilton and McLaughlin. I don't think so. Hamilton's too new. McLaughlin's not really that impactful. Veilleux's got a 16. I mean, I would say he's certainly a runner-up. He's got the 2nd alternate right now, and he's been here a while, and he's definitely, I would say, impactful. Yeah, I wish I could just assign 3 alternates right now. Like, there's no clear-cut captain right now that I'm really seeing. Like, I want to see who steps up when needed, right? And at this moment, this is certainly a time that is needed for someone to step up, a real leader to step up. But unfortunately, we do need a captain. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to continue the simulation. So I think it's between Veilleux, Christensen, and Furcus. I think I like Veilleux and Furcus's mental ratings better than Christensen's. So I think now it's between these two, Veilleux and Furcus. I wasn't a fan of Furcus's performance during the playoffs last year, but the year before that he was good. As for Veilleux, I mean, no one really had a good player performance last year besides Lassell. If I could make Lassell the captain, I would. Because I feel like he would be the clear cut, but unfortunately that's not possible. You know, I'm thinking Veilleux because as of right now, in this tire fire of a season, he's currently a +4. I don't like to look at plus minus as an indicator of personal success. Obviously, it's more of a team stat. But I think in this case, especially over Ferguson's -5, it's an indicator of stability, right? Like whenever he's out there, his line is shutting it down, right? He's also got 18 determination. I'm pretty sure actually Ferguson's determination is 18 as well. Yeah. So they're both very good candidates for captain. But I think I like the idea of having a defenseman as a captain to signify a change in leadership, going from a forward to a defenseman, hopefully a change of times and a change of where we're headed as a team. I mean, obviously we have an offensively based coach in Marco Sturm. Obviously that hasn't really worked out well so far. So we're going to see what Xavier Veilleux is capable of as our new captain. So there you go, Xavier Veilleux, your new captain of your Arizona Coyotes. And who is going to take his place as the second alternate? I'm going to say Christensen. And so with that done, I think we can advance up to probably the trade deadline and just see what happens from here on out, because at this point we have gone through a lot of change. I think we just need to let the dust settle and see where we're headed here going into the trade deadline. We are here at February 1st, but despite being 7th in the Central still, we are actually doing much better. We're 32, 26, and 5, which puts us at 69 points. And we're currently only 3 points behind third, Chicago with 72. Obviously, they have 3 games in hand on us, but still, it's possible. They could lose a few games here and there. We go on a winning streak and all of a sudden we're back in it. I think we've definitely been doing a little bit better ever since we moved on from Clayton Keller. Maybe that was the wake-up call that this team needed. William Lascelles save percentage at a 906 currently. I mean, this is definitely by far his weakest season so far, but I have hope that he will either be able to rebound for either next season or in the second half of this season, or potentially in the playoffs if we manage to make it, right? But definitely cannot have that kind of performance from Lascelles next season for sure. Sebastian Cossa, 905 save percentage in 29 games played. So him and Lascelles have been fairly evenly splitting the time in net there, and understandably so, but I do wish that coach would kind of stick with one of them, Anyway, like I said before, I don't want to make any other major trades, at least not until the trade deadline. And besides that, we seem to be doing pretty well right now anyway, because we did actually have a 5-game winning streak to start January, from the game against Vancouver all the way up until Carolina, and then the loss against San Jose. But then we won again against Columbus, lost against Winnipeg, lost against Anaheim, win against Tampa, win against Utah, loss against Buffalo, loss against New Jersey, and win against LA. So like I said, January was a pretty good month, all things considered. So if we could replicate that, I mean, obviously there's not too many games in February, but if we could go, let's say 4 for 5 on these, then I'll feel pretty good going to the trade deadline. Oh dear, Christensen injured, 1%, 2 to 3 months left. He's gonna be out to start the playoffs, isn't he? And that's unfortunate. That's really unfortunate, because we actually did really well in that stretch. I think we went, 3-1-1? Because I think this loss right here against Philly was an overtime loss. And then you have 9-3 win, 6-5 loss, 4-3 win, 5-1 win. And that puts us at 76 points, which, I mean, we're still in 6th. However, we are currently tied for 3rd with Winnipeg and 1 point behind St. Louis for 2nd. The Central Division is wide open right now. This is our chance to seize it. We have to take advantage of this. It looks like poor Clayton Keller on Colorado. He's sitting back there with Colorado at 65 points, so it looks like they're not making it. But still, we have the chance. This division is wide open right now. So that injury to Christensen, that long-term injury to Christensen, not a pretty sight. So we're going to have to deal with that. So I guess we will take a look at the trade block and see who is available, because we're going to need someone to replace Christensen, at least temporarily, even if it's only a rental, because that is a big loss right there. I mean, that's a Selke Trophy nominee who you got to replace. So obviously that's not easily replaced, but there's got to be someone out there who we can at least fill the void with temporarily. I think I'd be pretty interested in going after this guy, Cameron Kuzma. He's 6'4", 25 years of age. He's good 29 points on the season and a 67 grade, which means I think he's probably solid defensively, is what that tells me. Yeah, he's got a 64 defensive grade as a forward. So that is... yeah, I think I might try to get a trade offer for him going. Buffalo's in a win now state, so they're not going to want to give him up easily, but I'm definitely willing to give up a couple of picks here at minimum. All right, I think at this point we can safely say that at the very least our draft pick is not going to be very good. So I wouldn't mind parting with my first round pick if I have to. Colorado's thankfully looks like it's going to be pretty good, so definitely not giving that one up. Just as a precaution, I'll throw in the top 10 protected there in the 2034 first round pick. The rights to Lucas Catala, who is currently 20 years of age, doesn't look like he's going to be NHL ready anytime soon. and a second round pick as well in exchange for Cameron Kuzma. I mean, I realize this might be a lot for a rental player, but kind of in a desperate situation right now. And you know what? Last I checked, this year's draft is not particularly, it's not very good anyway. So I don't mind what is likely going to be a mid to late first round pick, you know? So yeah, I think I want to do this. The rights to Lucas Catala, a first and a second in exchange for Cameron Kuzma, offer trade. Finalized. There it is. So hopefully he can fill the role of Nicholas Christensen for a bit. Obviously, Christensen, a very good defensive player. I'm not expecting him to completely fill that role, but if he can even just provide a little bit of stability on the bottom six, maybe, then I would be happy. Although despite the fact that his major role is a two-way forward, it actually has him listed as a sniper in the player role. So that's interesting. We'll see if the coach decides to use him as a two-way forward instead. I hope he does, because he's already got Barrett as the sniper on that line, along with Erickson as the playmaker. That'd be good chemistry, I think. And I think that is just about all we'll be able to do here. But I think I'm going to hold on to Cedar, because I do still want to have some sort of veteran presence on the back end. And I know he wants a no movement clause and a 3-year contract at $6 million, but I do think it's necessary to have that veteran presence on the back end of the playoffs, assuming we make it, because there is a very real possibility that we could still make it. We are right there. So I would like to hold on to Moritz Cedar, and I will remove him from the trade block for right now. And I believe this is going to be our roster heading into the playoffs here. So let's hope that we can get things done, and we'll see what the remainder of the regular season has in store for us. Come on, guys, you're blowing it. We're right there. We're right there. Stop blowing it. Man, this team is so... Why? Like, we were doing so well up to the trade deadline, and now all of a sudden we're just starting losing games. We're still only at 80 points, while Nashville's now at 84, Chicago's at 83. I mean, it's still possible, but keep in mind, we're at 75 games already. We only have 7 games left, while teams like Winnipeg and Chicago only have 71, 72 respectively. We are certainly making things difficult for ourselves here. We're going to have to win, I'm going to say minimum 6 of our next 7. Minimum 6 of our next 7. I think anything less is going to result in no playoffs. All right, come on. Big game against Chicago. There it is, 6-2 win. That was a huge game against Chicago too. If Chicago won that game, that it would have just immediately been over. There's no way we would have made it if Chicago won. Game against Boston, what will it be? It will be a 8-5 loss. That's rough. What about Winnipeg? 7-2 loss against Winnipeg. Not liking it. We only have 4 games left. I don't think we're making it. I don't think we're making it. What about the wild card? Nah, we're not making it. We're not making it. Edmonton and Anaheim are still in the wild card with 93 and 90 points each. Yeah, no, I think actually we might be mathematically eliminated by now, actually. We have a maximum of 8 more points. That would bring us to 90 points. Yeah, we're basically out at this point. We would need, in order to get a wild card spot, not only would we need to win every single game from now on, we would also need Edmonton to lose every single one of their games from now on, because we have a maximum of 8 more points left on the table. We're currently at 82. That would bring us to 90. Edmonton already has 90. Like, our last hope would be to clinch third somehow, because Winnipeg has 88, but we're definitely not getting that wild card. Yeah, Winnipeg losing every game from now on and us winning every single game that we have from now on is our only chance. That's literally the only possible way we can get in now, and that doesn't seem too likely, unfortunately. Ivor Stenberg injured 2-3 weeks. Yeah, that's just great. Winnipeg's at 92. Yeah, we're out. We are officially out, so that's unfortunate. Yeah, it was... I mean, I thought we had a chance towards the end there, but we just flopped. We flopped when it mattered. I mean, if nothing else, we can take solace in the fact that Colorado... Poor Clayton Keller there. He's on Colorado now. He's currently sitting in 30th. But that's good for us because we have their first round pick. But even then, this isn't a particularly amazing draft, so... Oh man, that's just a rough year. Rough year all around for your Arizona Coyotes. That is unfortunate. And we have finished the regular season 40, 36 and 6, 86 points on the regular season. That was such a terrible we had such a terrible start. Don't like it. Do not like it one bit. Take a look at the player stats to end things off here. And we'll start out in goal. 904 save percentage for William LaSalle in 50 games played. Definitely his weakest season as of yet. And hopefully his only weak season. Hopefully he can rebound next season, because that was certainly not up to par with where he usually is. Sebastian Cossa with an 895 save percentage in 35 games played. So he was even worse, unfortunately. A minus 11.49 goal saved above average. Just not a very pretty season in general for your Arizona Coyotes. 83 points for Jagger Firkus leads the way. Jordan Gavin with 82 points. He was a good signing. Stenberg with 63 points. Sather with 63. He had a career year, it looks like there. Yeah, that was a great year for Rhett Sather. Victor Fedorov with 61 points. I believe that's also a career year. Yeah, he's going to be asking for quite a bit in the negotiations. Salminen with 49 points in his sophomore season. Definitely did very well. 64 grade overall. Mitchkov with 48 points. LaCroix with 43. Veyu, your new captain, with 39 points. 38 for Barrett. 36 for Kuzma, and 7 of those were with us in 14 games played. Cedar with 36. 35 for Christensen. 32 for Hamilton, 31 for Jaeger, Zellweger with 20, Berkoyev with 13, Erickson with 12, Cardona with 9, McLaughlin with 8, Fox with 2, and then Aerosmith and Fortescue with 1 had to be called up for a few games there. Let's take a look at the team stats. Goals for per game. We actually ended 7th in the league with a 3.5. We definitely got better as the year went on, but it was just towards the end there where we completely just had no idea what to do without the presence of Nicholas Christensen, it seems. Goals against per game is at 3.23, 16th in the league. So again, that's better from when we last checked, but clearly still not good enough. Power play is at 13th in the league at a 20.2. That was way down here before, so I guess I can't complain. And penalty kill, that's 78.8. That was up here before, like a 84%, somewhere around there. That penalty kill definitely took a hit from when we last checked. Yeah, losing Christensen was definitely that was a huge blow to our defense. It's clear to me now just how much of a key player he is defensively. just from missing him for however long it was. How long did we miss him for? Since February 27th. So that's roughly the trade deadline. That's about, 20 games or so that we missed him for? I mean, he played 68 games. Yeah, we only missed him for about, 14 games? But it's very plain to me that he is a key part of our defensive strategy, because it seems without him, we were unable to do much on the penalty kill there from when we last checked, because that was much higher before. So I think with that, we will just simulate through the playoffs and see who wins the Stanley Cup. And the 2033-34 Stanley Cup champions are the Calgary Flames, who went through Seattle, Vancouver, St. Louis, and the Rangers in the Stanley Cup Finals. This is their second championship and their first since 1989. And the Stanley Cup playoff winning goal scored by Parker Von Richter. Oh my goodness. Our former Arizona Coyote winning the Stanley Cup winning goal. All right, I think it is time for offseason signings now. Let's go through the list. We got a very large list of players to re-sign this year, so let's start from the top. Andrew LaCroix, 43 points this year, 60 grade, 151 hits. I like his play style. That being said, he's making basically a minimum deal right now. I would not be surprised if he wants much more than what he's currently making, considering his overall ability. Really, only 1.9? I will absolutely do that. That is a steal. That is a steal for Andrew LaCroix. So there you go, 1.9 for 3 years for Andrew LaCroix. Now let's see Mitchkov. He had 48 points this year, less than what he had last year, but still a good amount. 59 grade, 73 hits, normal personality. Let's see, what does he want? 6.4, effectively 6.5 for 3 years. I don't know, is he worth it? Not sure. We'll have to see. We'll have to see what everybody else wants. What about Fedorov? He wants 4.8 for 3 years. What did he do this year? 61 points. Yeah, I would say he's worth that. Yeah, he looks like he had a breakout season this past year. 110 hits, 50.9 faceoff percentage as a center. Yeah, I like Fedorov. I definitely want to bring him back, so I think I'll offer him right now. I'll start at 4.25. So I managed to get him down to 4.6 for 3 years. We'll definitely do that. And now Ivor Stenberg, he had 63 points. I would say he's probably going to be asking for more or less the same as what Fedorov was asking for, maybe even a bit more. Yeah, 5.2 for 3 years. I mean, I would say he's worth it. He is definitely worth it. Yeah, we definitely would not have been able to afford Clayton Keller going into this offseason. And I managed to get Stenberg down to 5.1 for 3 years. We'll definitely do that. We've already offered for LaCroix. Cedar, I mean, he's getting up there in age. He wants essentially 6.2 for 3 years and a no movement clause. I don't think I'm going to do that. So I think he's going to be walking. Eli Barrett with 38 points this year, 58 grade, 63 hits, 23 goals. So he's a sniper for sure. How much is he asking for though? 2.5, and that's not bad considering his production. I think I'll wait on him though. Kuzma, who we just traded for, he had 7 points in 14 games played. I mean, he was pretty useful in the time that we had him. 13 hits, 52% on faceoffs. I wouldn't mind bringing him back as long as he's pretty cheap. 2.9, I don't know. I'll have to revisit him. Let's see, Zellweger, he had 20 points this year in 56 games played. 64 grade, 61 hits, decent personality. I like his ratings overall. I wouldn't mind bringing him back as long as he's not asking for too much. 5.8 in 3 years for the no trade clause. I don't know. Reese Hamilton had a 66 defensive grade, currently making 2.7. I like his ratings. What does he want on his deal? 6 mil for 3 years. Oh boy. Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna be able to afford all these guys. What about Cardona? I mean, I wouldn't mind getting him back as a depth player. 2.3 for 3 years. Don't know. What about McLaughlin? 1.9 for 3 years. I mean, even that might be pushing it a little bit for him, considering that he's only ever really been a replacement player for us. And then all these guys down here I'm not really going to bother with. So I think for right now, I'm going to simulate ahead until we know what's happening with Fedorov, Stenberg, and LaCroix. Hopefully they all accept. All right, very good. They're all signed for next season. So what are the cap obligations looking like going into next season? You have 28.45. It feels like a lot less than that. I don't know why, but it feels like a lot less. All right, hold on. Let's get a visual of what exactly we're working with here. So say they're in Veyu, Cedar's getting cut. Salminen, I definitely want getting more ice time. It seems like he's coming into his own now. Then Hamilton, I would say, I think he's probably worth holding on to. Yeah, he's done pretty well in the time we've had him so far. So I would not be opposed to bringing him back. But for 6 mil, I mean, that's a lot. And it's especially a lot when you got Zellweger asking for almost the same amount. And then at forward, you have Christensen, Furcus, Gavin, Stenberg, LaCroix, Fedorov, Michkov, Jaeger, Bukoyev, Barrett, Kuzma. All right, so I've gone ahead and simulated up to the awards on June 21st, and all the players that are currently unsigned will remain unsigned going into free agency. A few big names among them. Moritz Seider is going to be released. He's 33 years of age now, making 6.6 on his current contract, and he wants 6.1 for 3 years, and a no movement clause on the extension, so we're going to be releasing him. Eli Barrett, only 26 years of age, only making 1.3 at the moment. He wants roughly 2.6 for 3 years on his extension. I mean, it's not too bad overall. He's been a decent simulator for us in terms of point scoring. However, when I take a look at his expanded stats, he had a lot more giveaways this year than takeaways, which I'm obviously not a fan of. As we take a look at someone like Jordan Gavin, his are more evened out with 17 to 19. And besides that, I think we can do better. Barrett's defensive category is not great. Mental category, not great. His defensive grade wasn't fantastic either at a 54, so I think we're going to be moving in a different direction and moving on from him. Olin Zellweger, I wouldn't mind going back after him in free agency, assuming that he wants a reasonable contract still. He wants 5.8 currently for 3 years on his extension, and so far in the time that he's been here, he hasn't been bad, but I do want to see what's out there and available for us in free agency. Actually, I will sign Cameron Cardona, but besides him, everyone else is getting released. So we got LaCroix signed, we got Stenberg, Fedorov, Kuzma, Hamilton, Michkov, all signed to extensions, and we'll soon get Cameron Cardona signed to an extension as well. And now we head into the award ceremony. So for the Ted Lindsay Award, you have Connor McDavid, and the Art Ross, you have Leon Draisaitl now in Washington. For the Moise Richard, you have Connor McDavid. The Lady Byng Trophy, you have Mirko Wetstein of Calgary, who is 25 years of age. The Masterton goes to Gabe Perreault of Colorado. The Mark Messier Leadership Award goes to Jason Robertson of Dallas. And the Jennings goes to Stuart Skinner of Minnesota. For the heart between Connor McDavid, Nikolai Voinov, and Connor Bedard, it is Connor Bedard. And what happened there? Did I accidentally click twice there? I think I might have. Yeah, I think I might have accidentally clicked twice there. As the Conn Smythe goes to Dermot Johnston of Calgary. And I'm not sure what happened here, but it seems Connor Bedard, as we look past the glitch here, did win the Hart Trophy. And the Calder between Braden Scuderi, Riley Steen, and Steven Manka, it is Riley Steen. I was going to say, I swear I clicked it. Something's going on here. This game is starting to bug out a little bit. The Norris between Cameron Reed, Charlie Trethway, and Landon DuPont is Charlie Trethway of Detroit with 58 points. For the Selkie between Kevin Mahler, Jaden McCord, and Max Melicharik. So unfortunately, our guy Nicholas Christensen isn't up there this year. And that makes sense. We did not do well as a team this year. And it goes to Kevin Mahler of Minnesota. For the Vezina between Jake Odinger, Dominic DeVicentis, and Trey Augustine. So once again, our guy not up there. And of course that is to be expected with the year that we had. And it goes to Dominic DeVicentis of the New York Islanders. 923 save percentage and 7 shutouts in 72 games played. For the executive of the year between Rob Blake, Mike Murray, and Nathan Oystrick is Mike Murray of Minnesota with 60 wins. So as we take another look at the league standings, it does not seem Minnesota hit 60 wins. So maybe it's counting preseason there, or I'm not entirely sure what's going on there. I think that might be yet another glitch there, as unless it's counting preseason, which I don't think it usually does that for this award, then that is definitely a miscalculation of sorts, I think. And for the Jack Adams, between John Hines, Drew Bannister, and Mike Komisarek, is John Hines of Minnesota, once again with 60 wins, even though the standings say they only have 54, but okay. And there you go. Cameron Cardano has signed his contract, and we are on June 23rd now, which means we have the signing deadlines of some of our prospects. Let's see who we are going to sign, if anybody. All right, we will sign Tuarila. He's coming up this year on his signing deadline, and he's a 2-star talent, 4-star potential, so definitely signing him. 22 years of age now. Definitely got to get him over to North America. I think I'll sign Tanner Horick as well. He's got the 1.5-star talent, so maybe a good backup player for the AHL. And everybody else is not going to be signed of the guys who have signing deadlines coming up this year. So it's Tuarila and Horick who are getting signed off of them contracts right now. And yeah, I don't want to sign anybody else here. All right, there you go. Horick and Tuarila have signed with your Arizona Coyotes. And here's our season summary for the 2033-34 season. We had a winning season somehow, and we had no other positive categories. We failed to reach the playoffs. Thankfully, no other negative categories. Longevity bonus of 4. Total season score of 15. That is rough. We have 3 points to spend. I'll put 2 into tactics and 1 in motivation, as I may have to consider possibly coaching this team myself if worse comes to worse. Oh, trade proposal from the Islanders. They want Braden Yeager, who's on the trade block now, and I will get to that here in a minute as I reject this trade, as that is not a good offer from the New York Islanders, but I do indeed have Braden Yeager on the trade block. As when you take a look at our center core, we have Fedorov and Stenberg solidified on the top 2 centers now. And Yeager is more of an offensive center, and his production's been kind of really dropping off over the past couple of years. He went from 71 points 3 years ago to 55 and then 31. He's been dropping off big time. I would rather get someone who's more fit defensively for the third line center role, who could also chip in offensively, right? So I think we are going to attempt to trade him, but we don't have to do it in a rush. He still has 1 more year on his contract after the year flips over here. All right, we're now on July 1st, and here's our current roster. You have Lascelles and Kosa in goal, of course. On defense, we are definitely going to need some defensemen. You have Veyu, Sather, Salminen, Hamilton, and Tuarila. So 2 more minimum. And at forward, you have Christensen, Gavin, Furcus, LaCroix, Fedorov, Stenberg. That's the first 2 lines. Michkov, Bukoyev, Yeager, who's going to be traded at some point, Kuzma, Eriksson, Cardona, and Fox. So we definitely need to target some defensemen here in free agency. So let's see who's out there. You have Daxon Rudolph. You also have Simon Nemetz, good offensive defenseman. Don't think we really need that. Noah McKinnon, another offensive defenseman. Sasha Boumediene. This guy's been on the trade block for a while now for Utah. I do like how much he hits. That is, I believe, more than, what's his name? More than Zellweger, I'm pretty sure. As we take a look at his hits from last year, yeah, only 61. And that was in how many games? 56. So stretch over a full season, that's maybe around 90. And you compare that to 126, and it looks like that's roughly his average, maybe a little bit less. Ooh, I really like Caden Price. I like Caden Price a lot. Defensive ratings are good. 19 positioning is great. 18 passing, love that. Decent mental category, decent physical category. And then his grade looks to be consistently in the low 60s, so that's pretty solid. Considering that the defensive grade is probably somewhere in the 70s, that means, I'm guessing. And when you take a look at his expanded stats, 100 hits last season, that's good. And that was in, I believe, what was that? Yeah, 61 games played. So stretch over a whole season, that's probably more like 130, somewhere around there. But what impresses me about him is only 5 giveaways last season in 61 games played. I am very much liking the way he is looking. So we're actually going to compare him with Zellweger. And obviously Zellweger is older. He's born in 2003. Price was born in 2005. Offensive ratings, getting open is higher for Price. Passing is much higher. Puck handling is a little bit higher in favor of Zellweger. Shooting range, offensive read in favor of Zellweger. So, I mean, obviously he's a defenseman. We're not necessarily getting him for offense, but, you know, it's something to consider. Defensive ratings, checking is a little bit higher in favor of Zellweger. Faceoffs don't matter. Hitting a little bit higher in favor of Price. Positioning much higher in favor of Price, 19 to 15. Shot blocking much better in favor of Zellweger. He is 18 to 13. Stick checking tied at 16. Defensive read 16 to 14 in favor of Price. So overall, I would say just because of the positioning at 19, Price is probably a little bit better defensively than Zellweger. Physically, acceleration's tied at 16. Agility slightly in favor of Zellweger, 14 to 13. Balance slightly in favor of Zellweger, 15 to 14. Speed very much in favor of Zellweger, 18 to 14. Stamina in favor of Price, 16 to 14. Strength in favor of Price, 14 to 10. Fighting, 9 to 7. Doesn't matter too much. I don't really like my defenseman fighting. And mental ratings, bravery slightly in favor of Zellweger, 15 to 14. Temperament in favor of Zellweger, 15 to 12. Aggression in favor of Price, 9 to 7. Determination slightly in favor of Zellweger, 15 to 14. Team player tied at 16, and leadership tied at 14. So overall, I think I prefer Caden Price, and especially considering his stats that we saw. So really all that matters to me is that Price isn't all that expensive. We have roughly, how much do we have in cap space? We're currently at 71.5, so we have quite a bit in cap space to work with here. But still, I'd rather not overpay too much. I mean, obviously it is free agency, so we're bound to overpay to some extent, but how much are we overpaying for here? He wants 4.34 for 3 years. That's pretty good. That's not bad. It's definitely less than what Zellweger was asking for. Zellweger, I think, was asking for 5.8, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I'll definitely do that for Caden Price. I will give him 4.65 just to sweeten the deal. There you go. And actually, let's just double check what Zellweger wanted. 5.5 now he's in free agency, but still it's, you know, I would rather have Mr. Caden Price. And we're also going to be signing Adam Kleber, assuming he's not too expensive. I haven't checked what he wants on his contract yet. 5 mil, 3 years, and a no trade clause. I mean, we can do it. We can afford it, but do I want him for that much? I wish I could see what he was making on his previous contract. Can I see that? 4.6 for 2 years was his previous contract. The thing that's scaring me off here is the no trade clause, but if I could get him to take that off, then that'd be ideal. I'd be willing to go a little bit more if he did that for us. So I'll go 5.4 for 3 years with no trade clause. So as for a response, he likes the offer, but he seems to be dead set on a no trade clause. Actually, you know what? With Price coming in at 4.65, we have Veyu making 5 mil, Hamilton making 5.5 for the next 3 years. I don't know if I want to do that now that I think about it. I mean, it'd be different if he was exceptional in any particular category other than his height, but not really. His puck handling is his highest rating at 18, and everything else is just above average. So I think I'm not going to offer Kleber, actually. That being said, I'm not sure if I can trust Tuarila just yet, because his defensive category, his checking and hitting in particular, are kind of weak. But his positioning's strong at 19, so he may be good. He may end up being good, but I want to have some insurance just in case he's not, right? Like, just in case he's not ready. Wow, Daxon Rudolph. I was just looking at him. He's got over 200 hits last season. He had 58 points as well. I mean, he would be a good get for sure. It's just a matter of, number one, how much does he want? He wants 5 mil for 3 years, but I've seen this before. I'm not going to be fooled. He's gonna. This is gonna be. You see, this is gonna be a case where we get tricked into giving him like 5.25 or 5.35 or whatever, and then another team offers him because he's such a steal, and then they give him like 8 mil, and then I counter for like 8.5, and then it goes up again to like 12 mil or whatever, and then he's at that point outpriced, right? So I mean he's so worth it at that price. Yeah, he's so worth it. I still want Salminen getting ice time though, and that's my main concern, I think, at right D. But I think as long as he still gets top 4 ice time, then yeah, I'll try signing Rudolph. I'll try signing Daxon Rudolph here. I'll give him, just to make absolutely sure that we do not get outpriced by any other team this time, I'm going to give him 6 mil. I know he's only asking for 5 mil, but he's a 4-star player, and his production is well worth it. He is well worth the 6 mil. So I'm more than willing to shell out this money if it means getting Daxon Rudolph here. Because as we take one more look at him, I mean, he's got that 18 hitting, 16 positioning. He's pretty solid all around, even the defensive category as an offensive defenseman. That getting opens at 14. I wish that was a bit higher, but you know what? He's clearly a proven scorer at this point. 64 points, 50 points, 58 points. That's 3 years in a row. Very much a hitter, as his hits are constantly minimum 150 hits per season. And as we take a look at his playoff stats, he's been through the playoffs with the Columbus Blue Jackets as recently as the 2032-33 season, where he played 23 games for them. Only 8 points, but still, you know, he's clearly a good presence on the back end. So I will submit this offer to him. And we should have enough cap space for that too. That's only, how much is that? That's 6 mil for Rudolph, and that's 4.6 for Caden Price. So that's 10.6 coming in. And we should still have a little bit more room in salary cap after those two sign, assuming they do. And not to mention, we also have to trade Jaeger, right? Yeah, we also have to trade Jaeger and then find his replacement as a more defensive center. And here's Jaeger's defensive ratings just for reference. I mean, he's got the 10 hitting, 10 shot blocking, 13 checking. Would like to see better numbers there out of a third line center. Physical ratings are great, but definitely need better as far as defensive stats from your third line center there. All right, so I think I found a trade here for Braden Jaeger. It involves, of course, Braden Jaeger himself with 25% of his salary retained, the rights to Eli Barrett, a 3rd round pick for this year's draft, and a 7th round pick for next year's draft in exchange for Caleb Denoye of the Ottawa Senators with 50% of his salary retained for the next 2 years. Solid 3-star ability player. Not too much about him really stands out. However, his determination at 18 and faceoffs at 18 do stand out. And as we take a look at his career history, he had a career high last season of 50 points, 64 grade. So definitely by far his best season. You got to think maybe Ottawa would be willing to trade him and capitalize on his trade value going up. Very good at faceoffs, 54% last year on 942 faceoffs taken. He won 509 of them, 94 hits, good takeaway giveaway ratio, blocked 68 shots, took 120. So overall, I think he's going to be pretty solid for the third line center. Offer trade, and we'll see what they say. So I think with that being said, we are all done here, at least for now. We'll see how much cap space we have left after all these moves go through, or maybe don't go through. Hopefully they do. Hopefully we do get both Rudolph, Price, and the trade for the Ottawa Senators. All right, so far so good. We're on July 4th right now, and we're still the top offer for Rudolph. All right, the Ottawa Senators have accepted our trade offer, but I'm going to wait until we know what's happening with Price and Rudolph. Actually, you know what? No, I want to do this trade regardless. Yeah, we'll just make this trade right now. So Braden Jaeger with 25% of his salary retained, a 3rd, a 7th, and the rights to Eli Barrett in exchange for Caleb Denoye at 50% of his salary retained. Complete trade. There it is. And now let's do the draft lottery. So we're actually in it this year, as we do have the 5th best odds at getting a top selection here. That's Colorado's pick. In fact, that is the only draft pick we have this year. But you know what? I don't really mind that, as the past drafts have not been great recently. So let's see. At number 18, we have Edmonton, followed by San Jose, Chicago, Nashville, Dallas, Buffalo, the Islanders, Columbus, Boston, Ottawa, Utah, Toronto, your Arizona Coyotes at number 6, Philly, Montreal, Pittsburgh, and the Vegas Golden Knights at number 1, followed by Florida at number 2. I mean, I think we all know the draft's going to be pretty quick, so we may as well just go through it here, because we only have one pick here. So pick until human. Let's see who is available. And we still have a couple of 3.5-star potentials available. However, it doesn't look like anyone who's going to be ready anytime soon. Yeah, I may as well just draft for potential here. I'm thinking Siren doesn't look bad, at least as far as his personality. He enjoys the spotlight and his performance reflects that. I always like those players. It looks like he's going to be a bit of a project, especially mentally, but you never know. With that 3.5-star potential, he might end up pushing it. And I mean, he's got some really good grades so far throughout the simulation, especially last year, 78 grade in his league. You know, if he can translate that to the professional level, I mean, it's highly doubtful, but still, just the fact that he has that kind of potential is pretty encouraging. So let's see, is there anyone else who really stands out? Clark Morrison, I mean, he's got a good offensive ratings, but his mental ratings not great. Yeah, I'll just take Siren here. So welcome to the Arizona Coyotes, UC Siren. And with that, oh man, it's taken a while. With that, the draft is complete. Only one draft pick the entire draft for us. Not that I'm complaining, honestly. This draft, once again, seemed like it was not going to be that great. So over and done with. And I think with that, we'll just see the decisions of Price and Rudolph, and then we'll end things off. This has been a long one. There you go. Both Daxon Rudolph and Caden Price have signed with your Arizona Coyotes. So things are certainly looking much better for your Arizona Coyotes on defense. You got Rudolph, you got Veyu, Sather, Salminen, Hamilton, Price, and then Tuuriela up and coming. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing how this defensive core is going to simulate next year. And then forward you have 6, 9, 13. All right, I think we're set, honestly, because we traded Jaeger, we got Denoye, we got the defenseman we wanted, we're set in goal. Yeah, I think we are basically good to move on here. Salary cap's in a good spot. Yeah, I think we're basically set to move on to the regular season here. So with that, I think we'll end things off here. And the next one, we will move on to the regular season of year number 6, I believe it is now, as we check the GM history. Yes, indeed, we are heading into year number 6 with your Arizona Coyotes. So I'll leave it off here, and I'll see you guys in the next one.